Hello and welcome again to A Cup of Conversation here at BRT in Lefkoshire. My name is John Ghazi, I'm your host, and today I have two special guests in the programme today. Once again, we have people who are making a mark in the TRNC. Now, I met Fiona Addington many years ago when I was interviewing her mother, Elizabeth Forsyth, and her very famous grandmother, Peggy McAlpine. That was a few years ago. We'll talk about that in a minute with Fiona. And I've also got her husband, Mark Weavers, joining us. We're talking about their lives here, about the Crow's Nest in Kami, Kalaman, and about what's going on up there. So, first of all, Fiona and Mark, welcome to the programme.
Thank you.
Now, we were talking before the interview, and it's probably been at least 9 years, maybe 10, since we last met at the Piabella Hotel when I was filming outside. I used to film programmes outside of BRT Cam. I'm lazy now. I'm keeping myself in the cool studios. But we were filming for your grandmother, Peggy, and she had maybe, was it the first jump, second jump, was it her birthday? I'm not quite sure. But we were celebrating Peggy's achievements, and she is a very famous lady. But Fiona, welcome to the programme for the very first time here in the studios. And tell us a bit about your background. How long have you been associated with the TRNC? What's your history?
Okay, well, yes, as you said, obviously my mother had contacts out here, so I first came here in '87 and had quite a few holidays over here during the next few years. In 2006, I was at a bit of a crossroads in the UK and decided that maybe I'd come over here for a little while and try something new, see how it got on, see how I got on. So yeah, got on an aeroplane, came over, and the rest is history. I'm still here 13 years later. Very
nice. A good story. And with you is Mark. Welcome to the programme, Mark. First time we've met today. It's nice to meet you. And thank you guys very much for taking time out of your private time to come today, because I know you're busy running the Crow's Nest, but also, Mark, you actually work abroad, come back and forth, and the time here that you have together is very precious. But I know that you were meant to be doing something else today, but you've taken the time to come to BRT to be interviewed for radio and TV, so thank you very much for that.
Great experience.
We appreciate it. Mark, what's your background? Tell us about your link to the TRNC.
Link to the TRNC, I didn't have any, actually. I had no family here, and I travelled by myself. I was in real estate back in England. Like Fiona, I was at a bit of a crossroads, and I subscribed to a magazine called The Negotiator every month, and I literally was just flicking through it, and I saw this job opportunity in the TRNC, and I thought, that looks amazing. And without giving it a second thought, I'd sent my CV application off. A week later, I was asked for an interview. That progressed to coming over to here for the weekend, meeting the owners of the business. And one thing led to another, thrashed out a deal, went home, rented the house out, packed my bags and came.
And how long ago was that then?
That was 13 years ago as well.
So similar time?
Yeah, but we got here within 6 months of each other actually, but we didn't know each other before, so.
Of course not, because you actually met here, didn't you?
We did, yeah.
In the TRNC, and you've been together for how many years now?
We've been married 12.
Yeah.
12.
Yes. Last weekend, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic, congratulations.
Thank you.
Very nice. So a nice little story there about coming to Cyprus. I think a lot of people find the TRNC, especially the TRNC, a place to escape to, maybe. A bit of an anonymous place, and somewhere where you can maybe collect your thoughts about what you want to do in life. So you both came here. Obviously, your background's different because you have quite a study background, because you're your mother and your grandmother. But I mean, I always remember, and people still talk about Peggy McAlpine, and about her famous jump, tandem paraglide from Hilarion all the way down to Carol, and she did this at the record-breaking age of, what was the first, how old was she the first time, 101?
She was 101 the first time she did it, so she wanted to do something memorable, I guess, for her 100th centenary year.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how it ended up as 101, but anyway, it was 101. And an American lady beat her a few years later, so she decided to do it again, and she was 104 when she did the second jump.
I think I remember, because you're such a big thing at the time, a lot of people still do respect your family, you know, mother, your grandmother and yourself. I remember interviewing you, like I said before, and I remember, I think she was meant to be 100 when she was going to first do it. But her birthday was actually in the winter, isn't it? Or
I think
in
this is
October?
probably why, yeah, October the 30th. Very good memory, Jan.
And I believe that the weather conditions weren't right. And I think that's why it was postponed. It was meant to be a 100th centenary thing, but I think I remember correctly, if I remember correctly, that it was something to do with the weather conditions. Wasn't the right time of the year, but she did it in the end.
Yes.
And she is still famous for that record.
I believe
isn't she?
so. Yes.
Hasn't been beaten
we've
yet.
got the we've got the Guinness record certificate hanging on my mother's wall. So I did say I must get a copy and have one in the crow's nest, I think, for all to see.
No, I think Peggy put herself on the map with her jump. She put the TRNC on the map because of the location, and also the fact that, you know, the tandem company, they were, you know, on the map as well.
Yeah.
And Özgür Gökashan is a good friend of mine, and the Highline Tandem paragliding company is great. So everyone, it was a win-win situation for everyone.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And as I said, big celebrations back then, and that's how we first met. Coming to you guys now, and the actual reason why you're here is because another iconic name in Cyprus, in the TRNC, is the Crow's Nest, which is a pub, restaurant up there in Karaman.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first moved here, and there weren't so many bars and restaurants then as there are now. And as a single young man with friends, where do we go? What do we do in the Guinea area? And it was one location. I'm not saying that I was a regular there all the time, but we made an effort to go up to Kami because it was such a special location and because it was a fun place to be. I remember, you know, having a drink, and they even had board games then, I think. We used to sit around, especially in the winter. The actual pub had board games. You could play cards or Monopoly or something like that. What is the link now for you and the Crow's Nest? How did this all come about, Fiona?
Well, I think it came about mainly because we live next door. We moved to Kami 3 years ago. It certainly wasn't on our plan of places to move to, and running a pub definitely wasn't on my plan of things to do either. So it's interesting how things take you to a different course, but I think the right one. My husband works away at the moment, so he doesn't want to work away forever. And really it was just a way of thinking, okay, so this will be something that can help secure our future. Here, because we do feel like our home is here. I mean, I'm lucky my daughter's here, I have a grandson here as well. So it's my family, I have nothing left anywhere else. So,
Really? So even your daughter and you have a grandchild as well now, they're all here?
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's a good story. All the generations. And is it true that your mum is still in Kami as well?
Yes, she's in Kami. She's just moved recently, so she's actually, I guess, about 10 metres away from the Crow's Nest. So she's found this is very useful. Rather than cooking, she tends to actually now bring most of her friends and have most of her meals in the Crow's Nest itself.
And takeaways.
And takeaways.
Yeah.
We can do takeaways too.
Over the years, obviously, the Crow's Nest has changed hands since when I first arrived here 25 years ago. But the name has always stayed the same. It's always been the iconic Crow's Nest. So what happened then with the previous owner? How did it come about that? Is it that you offered them to take over, or was it up for lease, or?
It was,
It was up for sale for some time, and as time went by and there was no interest, as things do, it became a little bit more realistic for us and for him, and that was it. We talked last summer, we done a deal, and that's where we are now.
Started in
Pushed by me a little bit more. Fiona wasn't as keen at all, and I think her exact phrase was, not entirely sure I want to be working as a barman or bar lady or whatever, but
landlady.
you know, we've grasped it, and what we hope we've done is given something back to the local community. That was one of our aims, was to make it a very comfortable place to go, which is serving good quality food. We've got sports and entertainment, and it's grown from there, all down to my lovely wife. I get the good end of working away and coming back and enjoying it. So
Yeah, coming back, and you got a place to hang out.
Absolutely.
With your friends, family.
Yeah.
Excellent. It's a lovely location. It is a wonderful place. So, I haven't asked you, but what is actually your profession? You said you don't really have much background in being a landlady or working behind the bar, but what was your original profession?
My background was banking, so I worked for Barclays, which were an incredible employer actually. I started with them in '83, so it was an incredible start. You had so many courses and different opportunities within them. And that definitely has stood me in good stead for running a business, because you know, it's not been, I wouldn't say it hasn't been hard. I mean, it has been hard at times, but I've felt that I've got the ability to do it. It's been rapid. I think we hit the ground running. I don't think we realise quite how lucky we would be with the support that we've had from the locals in the village, and also outside. You know, we have groups, people coming now from Essentepe, from Karşıyaka, a lot of local Cypriots coming, which is lovely, you know, and we've been really well supported and growing all the time.
That's great to hear. Excellent. And Mark, what about you? What's your background? I know that we said that you are often away from home working. What's your actual profession?
My long-term profession was real estate, and that's what I came to the TRNC to do.
Yeah.
That changed fairly rapidly, and I've actually been working away for the last 8 years in places like Iraq and now Africa, and project managing and operations managing. So that's my forte with different aspects of the business.
And nothing to do with running the Crow's Nest whatsoever?
No, in fact I tend to stay away because Fee is very clever at with the eye and the decor and the organisation and getting the right people, and she's achieved that all. And obviously she consults me, we talk every night while I'm away. I look at the pictures of the improvements, and for me, you know, it's just wow. I had the easy end of it. So
we have a WhatsApp group, which we're all on, all the staff, including my husband. So he gets messages coming through at about 6 in the morning. They start, we need lettuces today, or we've run out of sliced bread. Or
yeah, it's quite interesting reading the shopping list from on a daily basis. It's the highlight of my day.
So even though you're away, you still know what's going on via WhatsApp.
Yeah, 100% of the time.
Great technology, isn't it? It's great to have. In fact, speaking of technology, you were saying that you're now on social media, and we can find out more about what's going on via Facebook, Instagram. We'll give out the names at the end of the interview a little bit later on. But let's go back to Kami, because the reason why it's so important about the Crow's Nest is quite iconic because of the village. And we all know that Kami is a village of mainly expats because of the history of the village, and none of the buildings are altered on the outside. Everything is very how it was years and years ago. That's what you have to do. You can't paint things purple or pink or green. You can't put massive satellite dishes on the roof. It's a place where people come, even on a weekend. I remember walking on a Sunday morning with a Sunday morning group, and every week would be a different location, but one week it'd always be at Kami, walking around and stopping and having a break outside the iconic church with the blue doors. Is that a reason, living in Kami, okay, it's right near you, but it's quite an adventure to take something over like this. But do you think because it's got a good name that you thought, well, maybe I can make this work because I do have that following or that presence there?
I think, I mean, it's a beautiful village, and we've travelled quite a lot, quite extensively in Europe especially, and the Greek islands and wherever, and you go to these islands and you think, you know what, we've got all of that here, and it's so unpromoted in many ways, and sometimes it's nice that it isn't too commercialised, but you know, Kami, certainly, it's, for the number of people we have living there, we've got quite a few eating or establishments there, but we all do something different, and what's better for a village than for people to have the choice? If they come up there, they can go to the Levant, or they can come to us, or Spot, or they can go to the coffee shop or the Treasure, you know. And that to me means that it's going to bring more people to the village, and to say, well, it doesn't matter, we'll go to one of them, and next time, oh, we'll go to another. And so we did feel that there was that certainly as an incentive, and we felt we knew the village as well because living there.
And I think Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, it's amazing the amount of people that do come up, expats, locals, and Cypriots, and you know they just love having a wander around. We touched on it earlier, the weddings, the wedding photographers, and you know, it's a beautiful spot to on your wedding day to have those pictures, and they come every weekend. There's people walking around, and it's great for the village.
As I said before, I think if it was any regular establishment anywhere else on the island, it'd be quite difficult. Maybe you might think twice about taking it on because would it work? There are so many other places to go to now. But I think, you know, the Crow's Nest has always had that special place in everyone's heart, in the locals' heart. And as we said, weddings, Turkish Cypriots or, you know, people coming from abroad who want to have their weddings here. Aside from Bella Pies, I think the second best picturesque location, or maybe even sometimes better than Bella Pies, although I do love the Abbey, is Carmi, where people, you know, you can get, I'm sure you probably see all these strangers coming along, you know, with their motorbikes or bikes or their old cars, classic cars, taking photographs outside people's houses, in the streets, because it's such a beautiful location.
We actually have a bench, which was my granny's, going back to Granny, sitting on our house terrace next door. And regularly we'll open the front door and realise that there's a photo session going on our right outside our front door, and actually then shut the door and say, oh, sorry, and stay inside until they finish. So
That's nice.
we deliberately put Granny's bench. It was a gift from her to us, and we revarnished it and put the name on, and we strategically placed it in our front garden because we knew that people would want to sit there and have their photograph taken and everything else, and Granny would have loved that. So
very nice, a nice legacy.
Yeah.
And we have to say that the lovely Peggy McAlpine, famous for jumping off St Hilarion on a tandem paraglide, she passed away. Was that 4 years ago? You were saying now?
I think it's about 4 years. Yeah.
At the age of 106.
Yeah.
Wow. If we could all live to 106, what a way to go, jumping as well. You know, doing that before you pass away and going into the Guinness Book of World Records. I think is an amazing feat. But coming back to us now here in the TRNC, in the BRTK studios. So you do have people wandering around, you've got people visiting, and the fact that you've got people coming from Esentepe or Karşıyaka to come and have a drink or a meal at the Crow's Nest means you're doing something right.
I hope so. We've worked hard at it, but we wanted to create that atmosphere. You know, it was, as I was saying to you earlier, it was like, it wasn't a leap of faith, but it was a feeling of like, build it and they will come. And thankfully they are, and long may it last.
The reason why it's important to have you here as well, Fiona, is because you're also, maybe not as adventurous as your grandmother. You wouldn't want to jump out of a plane. Although they did make an idea at one point, didn't they, to have you all jumping off, all generations. But no, that wasn't going to happen, was it?
No.
With you. But you are quite sporty yourself because you are running and doing running trails around Carmi. Tell me about that. How does that happen? How did you do your first run?
Well, really, we did the Esentepe Fun Run, and I'd never done, and that was at 40, I think we were 40 something, and I'd never run 10k before, and then I decided to have a go at the Limassol half marathon, and a few years later, and I met runners from the Cyprus Trail Runners who were based on the south, and it was sort of history really. It then progressed to running in the mountains, and from there I actually ended up doing triathlons, you know, cycling and swimming, because it is a fantastic country for sport here. We're so lucky, and you know, we have dogs, so that's another reason for getting out in the morning in the trails. So I know the mountains around Carmi quite well.
I'm sure you do, inside and out. But Mark, you're quite sporty as well yourself. I think
used to be, yes.
Used to be, you're saying now. What was it about the pentathlon?
Modern pentathlon, yeah. I actually, it was my school teacher, my PE teacher, that got me into it, because I was already doing several of the sports. The only sport I wasn't doing was fencing. So he introduced me to a guy that was a junior international modern pentathlete who became my coach. And I trained full time. I loved it. I mean, it was just a fantastic sport, and the places it takes you, and the people you see, and
you represented England as well.
Yeah, I represented England juniors and against other countries, and I felt so important with having my own tracksuit with England on and all this sort of. But it was great. It was a brilliant experience.
So are you joining Fiona then on these trails when you go running around?
Last year we did a lot, yeah. I haven't had much time recently, but I think that's something I want to build up to when I am back here full time, that we will make more of an effort to get involved, even if it's trying to organise some events and a few more events, because they are very successful. And the good thing about sport is it does bring people together from both sides. Yeah. And it's great to watch.
As I said, lots of walking groups walk around Carmi, so why not run as well and go up into the mountains? Yeah. So you've taken this a step further, and we have a blue route.
Yes, yeah, the blue route's been there as long as that, forever, I think.
Really?
And in fact, I believe the history of it, it was something that was mapped to help with pipe because there's a water pipeline or there's an electricity. So it was something to do with the army and whatever back, you know, in earlier years.
Yeah.
So it's quite a historical route, but now it's obviously more for walkers and moreover now for running too. And we had a competition a few years ago where it was a 10K circuit where you go up the Blue Route and then you come down one side of Hilarion on a dry riverbed. And we did it a couple of years ago through the trail runners. So this year, obviously taking the pub over, we decided, oh, well, I'd like to try and make it a regular, at least a yearly event.
Yeah.
And actually from that also came an idea from our friends, Brian and Chris from the trail runners on the south, that we should have like a leaderboard and people can come and just do it at their own, when they want to.
Yeah.
Just produce it on their Strava or their running app, and we can check the times and keep a leaderboard for the fastest around that route.
So you don't have to wait for an actual event. You can go along whenever you want.
Exactly.
Have a leaderboard there and see who's going to, you know,
and have
win.
a pint back with us when they're finished.
Yeah, why not? And they're leading now into an event that you're organising for the Blister Sisters, who were here not so long ago at BRTK, and they are running for Tulips, or walking for Tulips,
Yep.
200 kilometres,
Yeah.
3 cities, an amazing accomplishment for them. And how did it work out that you're supporting them now? On July the 11th, there's going to be an event,
Yeah.
but you actually saw them as they were training in Carmi, weren't they? Tell us
Yeah,
about
they
that, Fiona.
were. The other morning I was out walking my dog and I went round the corner and there was 3 of them that day in their lovely bright coloured T-shirts, and it was just such a beautiful picture. I just said, oh, I must stop, I must take a picture of you. So I took it and shared the post on social media because, you know, I'm quite good at doing that and getting followers. And I said to them, I saw Linda, I think a few days later, and I said, do you realise how many times that photo got shared and liked? So I thought, you know, why don't we do an event? Seeing as, you know, obviously it interests me. I love sport and people and getting out there and encouraging people to go out in the mountains. So what we're going to do is between 6 and 8 kilometre walk. It's not going to be hardcore. It's gone Jeep tracks. It's not going to be. We're not going to be running. So it's just going to be. Hopefully, people that have an idea that they'd like to do that haven't as yet, can come and give it a go. And it's obviously for charity. And there's an entrance fee with that going to charity, and then they can stay and have breakfast or whatever with us at the Crow's Nest afterwards.
So what time will that start then on the day of the 11th?
We need people there by 8 o'clock. 8:15 we start.
At the Crow's Nest?
Yes, at the Crow's Nest.
Right.
And then we'll return to the Crow's Nest afterwards. I mean, it's probably going to be about 2 hours-ish, something like that, maybe a bit less to get
And
around.
obviously the Blister Sisters will be there as well,
Yeah,
won't they?
they will be
So they can
walking
meet
it.
them.
Yeah, and see what they're doing. I mean,
Yeah.
they're doing at least 10K at the moment every morning. I bumped into Linda yesterday and she looked great actually. And she said, oh, I've just done 10K this morning, and we did that the other morning. And I mean, this is...
I know.
You know.
Seeing them on social media, following them, they're amazing
Yeah.
at what they're doing. And it is very important because cancer touches most of our lives, unfortunately. So in a small way, you're helping them get the word out there. And what a great place to walk around. I mean, like I said, Carmi is beautiful. If you haven't been to Carmi or Kalaman, it's a village to definitely visit on the trip here to the TRNC. And even if you're living here and you haven't gone, go now, because it's a great time of the year to go. And you've got all the flowers blooming. Even the street names are named after the flowers. Very picturesque. Wedding time, I'm sure you're going to get more people sitting on the benches, having their wedding photographs done there.
Absolutely.
But it's nice. It's all very. Is it a nice community there now? Has it, you know, still got that quaint feel? Everyone knows everyone. Everyone says hi to each other.
They do.
Yeah.
I think more and more that's changing, and I think that we're part of that, along with the other restaurants and pubs in the village. And I think what's amazing is you have got a close-knit community of people there, some fantastic characters, and diverse at the same time. And now we've got more people coming in to visit us from the outside. It's a nice mixture, and it is for the locals because they're seeing new faces coming along.
Yeah.
People are chatting, and even over the last few days, I've had a few people into the pub who say they remember coming 20 years ago. You know, it is a lovely community.
We had some people up from one of the banks yesterday to meet us about putting in a credit card machine because it hasn't had one of those. So we're dragging it into the 22nd, first century, whatever, 21st century. And they said how amazing because they started talking to the people on the table next to them, and they were bankers from Turkey. And they said, what an interesting lunch we had, and it just seemed so lovely that you get to talk to people up there. And I said, oh, that's how it is all the time in Carmi. You know, you can't leave Carmi without talking to someone.
Yeah. It's good. It is a nice atmosphere. I mean, as you're talking, I'm thinking about, you know, TV programs like EastEnders with the Queen Vic and, you know, Coronation Street with the Rover's Return. I mean, hopefully that'll be the atmosphere there where people can think of it as their local, but other people from outside are also welcomed. You don't have to live in Carmi to be a frequenter at the Crow's Nest, but it's, you know, that nice atmosphere, again, how it was maybe 20, 25 years ago when I first arrived, when it was at its heyday then. And things change, and you have to go with the flow and, you know, change with progression. And you have, by putting your presence there. Has it changed a lot inside, the decor and everything? I mean, would we be shocked for those who haven't been there for a long time? Will they go, oh my God, you know, is this the place we know? Or?
Well, yes.
I think to put it in perspective, when I actually was working away and came back and most of the work had been done, I thought I'd walked into the wrong place. So that maybe is credit to Fee.
People
But
come in and they're just looking around and you think, is there something wrong? And then I realise, and then they go, oh, this has changed. And then oh, you haven't been here since, because it seems to me now, 6 months down the line, I feel like we've been there forever. But what's really nice is also our team we have. They're all different nationalities. We've got an American Cypriot, we've got an English Cypriot. So it's, and we've got girls, we've got 2 girls that help as well in the kitchen, and they're from Ethiopia and Cameroon, and it's just a real nice mix of people, and a Welshman still at the helm as our controller, looking
number
after
one
the
barman
bar.
in Carmi.
The number one barman in Carmi, Steve.
Excellent. So it really is a good place to go to. But as we said, Carmi's full of great people, great location. Go there for the walks. And do you advertise the events or the trails coming up or what's going on?
Yeah, everything's on our Facebook page and also Instagram. It's Crow's Nest Carmi. If they just type that in at Crow's Nest Carmi, that will find our page. Excellent.
So people can follow you on Instagram, see what's going on. You advertise there what's happening, and you are open most of the time now, although you do have the day off on a Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday we're closed. Every other day we're open from 12 lunchtime through till we close in the evening, and we're serving food from 12 till 8:30. Sunday lunches, obviously, from 1 till 5 on a Sunday, and fish and chips. Very, very popular on our Friday night, so bookings are advised for those events for sure.
Well, you've made your mark, Fiona, at the Crow's Nest with the support of your husband, Mark, and hopefully in the future, Mark, you know, when things die down for your professional life and you do semi-retire or retire, then I'm sure you'll be, you know, hands-on there as well. This is a long-term project, isn't it, you're hoping?
Absolutely.
Fingers crossed. Yep. Even though it's been 6 months down the line, hopefully it'll be 6 years and more as the time goes by. No regrets at all for taking it over? Are you happy with how it's going?
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely none.
Yeah.
None at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most amazing thing. I mean, as Fiona said earlier, we hit the ground running. And we haven't looked back. We haven't had time to look back, especially Fiona. But no regrets whatsoever. And
that's a good thing, to be able to be happy here. Because Cyprus is a country where, you know, you need to keep yourself busy for most of the year. It's not just a holiday place, but, you know, if you're living here full time, you need to keep yourself occupied. And you've got a great job, meeting people. You're very sociable, very welcoming. So I'm sure it'll be a big success. And, you know, people who don't know the location now from before can discover it. Yeah,
it's on Google Maps as well, so if they're not quite sure, if they type it in, they'll get it.
And hopefully TripAdvisor in the future will get your, you know, name on the TripAdvisor international map and get everyone up there. And it is a location to really enjoy 24/7.
Yeah.
Morning, noon, night, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think a big shout out to all the people that have supported us. Even in the days of renovations, you know, the villagers were getting their hands dirty, they were coming in, they were giving Fiona a hand. And, you know, credit to all those people, especially the locals, now people coming from the outside that continue to support us, and we thank them for it very much.
Yeah, and again, that's the advantage of living in a lovely village like Carmi, where everyone knows each other and everyone supports. They're all rooting for you. It's a good positive vibe, isn't it, there? And fingers crossed, maybe you'll get, because who's got the Peggy's award or the actual Guinness World Records award?
Well, the certificate. It's hanging on my mother's wall, so
Right.
I think I need to certainly get a copy of it for the bar,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So her legacy will continue.
Yes.
Without a
and
doubt.
I'm sure she'll be proud of what her family's achieved, and the fact that you're still here in Cyprus, that your family is still here, and hopefully more generations. Isn't that a nice thing?
Yeah.
Hopefully, Kami will be a place where Peggy and her ancestors will be here forever and ever and ever.
For sure.
Very nice. Like I said before, thank you very much for taking time out of your personal time together
Thank you, it's my pleasure.
to be with us here at BRTK. I wish you all the best. And I hope that you'll get more and more support from everyone on the island, north and south, people from abroad coming on holiday and coming up to the village. And hopefully we'll hear more about what's going on. But the next major event coming up is July the 11th.
Yep.
Exactly.
Supporting the Blister Sisters, go up there, have a walk, and
You
also,
never know, you might end up there, enjoying walking and
Yeah.
whole new
and make it a regular
outlet.
thing.
Yeah, that is
sure.
our plan as well, to offer regular walks with breakfast.
Fantastic. So once again, Fiona and Mark, thank you very much for coming,
Thank you.
and hopefully see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Take
much.
care.
so much, Jan.
And with that, we've come to the end of our interview with Fiona Addington and with Mark Weavers. And hopefully you all enjoy walking and discovering the beauty of the Tiaran Sea, especially Kami or Karaman. Until we meet again next week, take care, have a great week. Bye-bye.